Oh boy. All right, we got to talk. Bombshell athletic article drops on the New York Jets. Well, we have a lot to get into. There is just no way around it. This was not going to be included in the podcast tomorrow. Already recorded and scheduled. Just got off talking Jets, but this was big enough that it needed its own video. So we're going to go through this article together and kind of just react and talk about it, man, because if these things that are mentioned in the article are true by Zach Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini, it is a horrible look for Woody Johnson. All right, so the title, Why Joe Douglas Never Stood a Chance as Jets General Manager. Slightly unfair. I'll do my whole recap at the end, but basically it starts out by talking about how defeated Joe Douglas looked in the Pittsburgh Steelers game. And while he was like really worn down by the loss, he ended up going to the team bus before the game was over, which is a little surprising. But Woody Johnson just ended up making a really wild decision. It comes down to this right here. This is where we're going to be reading from. According to sources, the day after the Jets lost to the Denver Broncos on September 29th, the game that I was at with the Talkin' Jets crew, there was a contentious meeting at the team facility. It included Woody, Douglas, Christopher Johnson, Jaime, Ira, and who's an advisor to Johnson. It also included all the coaches, all that. All right, so we have the full context. Apparently, the coaches had been called in to explain with their units what went wrong. And during the meeting, Woody Johnson suggested to the coaches that they bench Aaron Rodgers in favor of Tyrod Taylor because he felt Rodgers' performance was holding the team back. If true, nuts. Because Woody Johnson was, clearly wants to make headlines. So you would think like, okay, he's all in on this Aaron Rodgers thing. But the Jets and Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are like, no, that we're going to lose the locker room. That's not how you handle this. So they veto it. But allegedly, Woody Johnson, after week 4 weeks into their plan with Rodgers at quarterback, said, we want to bench him. Okay, that is insane. It is an insane thought. It continues. They continue to go on. That meeting supposedly set the tone for what would happen a week later, where Woody Johnson decided to fire Robert Saleh without consulting the general manager, and then says, or anyone else for that matter. But really, Douglas was stripped of the general manager a while ago. And this kind of really goes back to last season when Woody Johnson took a more active role. An example that they give, another thing that drives me nuts because it was something that I was very, very critical of this organization for. Douglas had a contract extension offer that he was getting ready to propose to Bryce Huff, but Johnson vetoed that and any other moves involving paying new money to players already on the roster. Then supposedly made him fire Rex Hogan, and again, that's not really all that much of a surprise. But there's a couple of quotes that just confirm a lot of things. Multiple team sources theorize that Johnson forced Douglas's hand. In the aftermath, Douglas told Jet staffers, Woody should just fire me now. In February, Director of Player Personnel Chad Alexander left for an assistant GM job. We knew that one. But, quote, they're holding him hostage. Quote, Joe was checked out. Joe was checked out. That's what I'm not joking when I said quiet quit. It felt like Joe Douglas quiet quit. It's because he wasn't the one running the show, and everyone wants to point to Aaron Rodgers being the one running the show, and to an extent he does, but it also goes to show that Woody Johnson's the most powerful freaking guy in this organization, and then it's probably Rodgers now, I guess. Douglas also was looking to trade for Jerry Jeudy. He was offering Alan Lazard and a day 2 pick. That one was vetoed. Go figure. This one was also nuts here too. Apparently with offensive tackle Tyron Smith and wide receiver Mike Williams, Woody Johnson, multiple team sources believe this was a matter of Johnson's preoccupation with social media factoring into the Jets' decision making. Another thing that I am not lying about, Woody Johnson reads everything. He watches everything. He knows what is going on. He knows what the fans are talking about. He knows what the media is talking about. And he wants the headlines. This next part's also kind of dumb. So around the time of the Smith and Williams signings, the Jets began talks to acquire Hassan Reddick. He was granted permission to seek a trade. Reddick turned 30 in November and wanted a new deal. He wasn't going to get one. According to sources, now I blame Joe Douglas for this one, by the way. But according to a league source, Douglas was warned by Reddick's representation that if the Jets didn't plan on awarding Reddick a new contract, they should hold off. But Douglas did the move anyway when he found out it'd be a 2026 third, and he thought that he'd be able to get him a report. However, per team sources, Johnson wasn't willing to give Reddick a new contract, and so Reddick skipped OTA's minicamp, training camp in the first 7 weeks of the regular season before he finally reported to a then 2-5 Jets. Fantastic. The next part here talks about how the quote that Woody Johnson had, the best roster in 25 years. Many, myself too, interpreted this as a compliment to Joe Douglas. Apparently not the case. Multiple sources within the organization viewed it as more of an endorsement of the roster that Johnson felt that he built. Johnson pushed Douglas to trade for star wide receiver Devontae Adams at that point. Then that's when he was really talking it up. On Sunday, allegedly, the Jets bench starting safety Tony Adams at the behest of Woody Johnson. That's insane. Johnson also wanted the Jets to practice during their bye week, which didn't go over well with some of the locker room's leaders. Him benching Tony Adams. Why hasn't he benched Michael Clemens yet is my question. If he's listening to everyone on Jets Twitter, you would have figured that Michael Clemens would have also been benched by now. But Tony Adams getting benched is very funny. Apparently, Rodgers is fond of both Douglas and Ulbrich, and I've been hoping for some continuity into 25, as it's increasingly unlikely the quarterback returns the next season, and it's believed that Johnson won't want him back anyway. Well, duh. After he wanted him benched after game 4 of the season, you can understand why that is. It then kind of goes into some hits and misses from Joe Douglas's tenure, and that's how it ends, which is just crazy. And it ends with the line that I talked about a couple weeks ago: "I serve at the pleasure of the owner," which is again a wild line. So this doesn't give Joe Douglas complete, exoneration. He was not a part of the solution here. I don't think he was. I don't think Robert Saleh was also. I just think this is so rotten. It's so rotten to the core. It's from, all the way up top, from Woody on down. It's through the front office to the coaching staff to the players. This thing is broken. It's rotten. And Woody Johnson has 2 choices: sell the team or get the fuck out of the way. Those are your 2 options, Woody Johnson. I hope he's going away to the UK and Christopher Johnson hires someone to run the football operation. That's their only chance out of this. If the Jets continue to go down this road, and more specifically, if Woody Johnson continues to go down this road with getting involved, I don't know how the Jets break this playoff drought. That'll do it for me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you buy it? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? Where do you stand? Let me know. I'll catch you next time.